All right. Here we are, 2 weeks. Now this is his right front, but I want to show you. See how much depth I have here? I'm just scratching that with a hoof pick. See, it's chalky. This is where the apex of the frog should be, right about here. Here is where it was. You can see that if I right here, here's old frog right here. See, if I actually start to scratch that, you'll see it a little bit better. So there's your depth, and of course conditions are gonna affect this too. So you know, when I did the video, I said, well, conditions are good here. Well, we were right back into the rain again, and it's been wet ever since. So it finally just dried out here for about 2 days. We're supposed to get more rain in here again, but there you go. And now, and this horse hasn't been ridden. If this horse had been ridden, you would see more improvement than that because of the stimulation. So wet ground, you don't get as much stimulation out of as you do hard ground. So, you know, that's why I waited till I got to a good point of change here that I could show you whether, you know, and like I said, if the weather was dry and hard, I might have had that much of a change in a shorter period of time. But, so there's your right front. I'll take you over to the other side now. Alright, so here's his right front. And you won't see quite as much. It shows more on this side than on this side. But, see, it's hard and dry, but it's still chalky there. If you got that much depth on this side, you got the same amount of depth on this side. Just because it isn't scratching off as much right now. A little bit of wet weather. But you could see some of his frog is worn off here. But, you know, right about here is where the apex of the frog would be. There you go. There's proof. Facts. And I'm actually showing you. Now here's something else I want to show you. Now, I just had a vet here 2 days ago. And they said that the hoof wall will not bulge. Well, I'm sorry. If you can't see that this hoof wall is bulged right from here. If you can't see the bulge here, they said that the hoof wall is too strong to bulge. Well, there's proof. See how straight the top is? That's a bulge. I don't care what you say, there's proof that's a bulge. And the hoof wall will bulge. And here's, I'm sorry, but a veterinarian made that statement. Now let's discuss one other thing here. If you remember, I told you that I put 4 nails in each shoe, 2 on each side, right? And I want to show you, you know, back when I was shoeing, I guaranteed shoes for 4 weeks. And I had some customers that rode their horses pretty hard, you know, down the road. Some that would wear them out so that they were nickel thin in 6 weeks. Very seldom did I have to go and replace a shoe. I guaranteed them for 4 weeks. If you lost a shoe, I'd come over and replace it, no problem, no charge, right? So I want to talk a little bit about the integrity of a clinch. You see a lot of guys nowadays, I see a lot of it. These guys got all these fancy tools and they're, you know, sanders and buffers, and boy, when they're done, that hoof is pretty. I mean, you know, those nails, you run your hand over there, you can't even feel them. That might be okay for a show pony that lives in a barn and only goes in the, you know, a sand arena. And the amount of people that I see around here putting clip shoes on horses, because we have a lot of clay, and when it gets muddy like it has recently, well, a lot of these horses are losing shoes, and this is why. You know, it's the integrity of the clinch. When I was shoeing horses, I didn't rasp that clinch off thin, and I didn't do any buffing. No, when I was done shoeing, no, they were not polished and pretty like I see a lot of these guys doing. The other thing is, I used clip shoes twice, only twice on 2 different horses. I would never use clip shoes again. But I see so many guys using clip shoes, they won't even put a standard shoe on a horse anymore. So I'm going to show you 2 different nails that I just shaped and rasped off the clinch. Hopefully you can see if that. So the one on my left, this one, whoops, see where you can see it the best. See how thin that is? That would be polished off, you know, even with the hoof. See, it's so thin at the top there. A lot of these guys, I see them they don't even straighten out their clinches when they pull shoes. They just put a set of shoe pulls on them and then yank them off. Because those clinches are so thin that, you know, so here's how my clinch finishes. See, all I ever did and all I ever do now is clean up the edge of this so that when you run your hands over it, you know, so I touch it with the end of my rasp way down here, clean up the edges the best I can so that if you run your hand against it, you're not getting caught on a burr. But the integrity of this clinch, this whole curvature, is still there, full thickness. That's why my shoes stay on. Even though this horse has been down along the edge of that pond, which is at that whole dam, that's all clay. They're literally standing right in the edge, feeding on that grass, which is mud. It's mud. And he hasn't sucked the shoe off yet, and I don't expect him to. I'm not saying it won't or can't happen, but and not to blow my own horn again, but that's why my shoes stay on better. So if you want pretty, well, go with pretty. But you know something, if it's Sunday and you're all ready to go to the show or whatever, and you go out and get your horse, he doesn't have a shoe on, I highly doubt you're going to get your farrier to be over there to fix that shoe so you can get to the show. I want my shoe staying on. Especially you're running over rough ground and whatever. You know, certainly if I was in rougher country around, you know, him, if I was going to ride him, it just, you know, even if I got on the trails around here, they're not so rough that I would worry about them with 4 nails in it. But if I was out in rougher country, absolutely, yeah, I would put 3 to a side, so 6 nails in each shoe. But, you know, he's my horse, and I'm the farrier, and I'm right here. If I lose a shoe, I can fix it right away. All right, so there's your proof.